Hi, my name is Deanna Reinhardt. Today's presentation is the first step of your journey into emotional safety education. Our brain likes to understand things before we do them. So this is an overview, like a mind map of the problem, the solution, how we get past change resistance for your teachers and your staff for your school, the implementation, and of course, how we sustain these results and build on them forever. So this should clarify a few things, but it is only a brief overview. We have taken each one of these units and we've incorporated a training class. So you and your staff and your parents and the kids, everyone learns together. We don't expect you to have to learn an entire discipline, such as emotional safety, in order to teach it. We're going to teach you along with the kids. And as you're learning it, that's part of your master's level professional development class. And you can get optional credits for those with a partner university that we work with. But as we go, you'll learn. This is just to give you the big picture because our brain really loves to know where it's going. All right, I'm going to pull me up here into the corner. There I am, right over there on the side. And let's get this started. So, this is a mind map, again, to help your mind get around the different steps. So we start by identifying the problem, right? And every school is very unique and there are different emphasis on different issues, but it all boils down to the same thing. It is our campus culture. And the issues and the problems come out of an unhealthy campus culture, which is usually it's not that teachers and administrators aren't giving all the right cues and answers and steps and procedures. It's that the campus culture itself can't receive them. So there's a education process of how do you change a culture. It's not just by putting the sign on the wall and expecting the kids to do it, right? So here we go. Um, Everything boils down to survival of the fittest instincts. Truly, Maslow's hierarchy of emotional safety. Now, this pyramid right here should be familiar with everybody who has been through education and various degrees. We learn this when we're still in high school. These are the levels that we need to secure for us to be able to be self-actualized humans. We as teachers and schools, we teach up here. Parents do this too. We teach to the positive. We teach to the genius, to the creativity, to the innovation, to the passions. But what we're missing is that people, human beings, cannot reach this level unless all of these levels of safety are satisfied. So we come down here to the very first level. That's the physiological one. That's the one that's very, really obvious. If there's bombs dropping and bullets flying, you are not safe. If a lion is chasing you, you have one focus, and that's to outrun and outpace that lion. If you are drowning, yours is to get out of the water. That's this level: air, food, sleep, shelter, that. So we have faced a lot of these things. We're a pretty sophisticated first world nation culture. We've got it made. But with all the pandemic, all the recent events and the natural events and the firestorms and the hurricanes, we have been assaulted on our most basic level of safety and survival. Now, this one right here for safety, these two are like twin sisters. They're locked at the hip because everything that's in this mode is to prevent us from being in the absolute crisis, striving for our life mode here. But this keeps us in a constant state of, cortisol, of panic. And that is, employment and jobs. Do we have enough money to buy the groceries that are going up exponentially? Morality, what is just, what is fair, family, property, health. We as a world are coming out of a collective lived experience that has seen all of these natural disasters, plus the pandemic, plus the governments, plus the people of the world in various states of chaos. So we have all been traumatized right here. We don't move out of this area very easily. And our children pick up on this either firsthand, secondhand. They've been going through some amazing revolutionary things on their school campuses, some things that we never dreamt in a million years that our children would be facing and dealing with. So we got to get us out of these two. That brings us to the third category, which is love and belonging. Isn't it funny? Isn't it something that belonging is our greatest need after food, water, shelter? That's how important it is. That's how intense culture is. And historically, your community, your culture, were the people in your village, in your family, that you would die for, you would fight with, you would plant your crops with, you would protect, you would cover, you would cry with, you were usually born with, you educated together, you died together. That was in the day when communities were within a horseback ride from each other. No one ever went probably more than 50 miles from their home. Now we are a global society, which makes this even harder because all of the different cultures, all of those commonalities are different. They're fragmented across all of these different experiences. But once you have this, once you have belonging and trust, then you move to self-esteem. When you're grounded here, your self-esteem is confident. You learn to respect others, respect yourself. And as these gel and are in place, that unlocks all the creativity, your morality, your problem solving, your passions, and the innovation of a very creative society. So right now we teach up here where our kids are living are down in here. So that's what emotional safety is all about, is getting these tiers in place. And you don't get to skip them. You can't go here unless these are taken care of. And these, because we have survived such a collective chaotic experience over the past few years, they not only have to be secure, they have to be, I don't know if healing would be the right term, but they need to be addressed so that our lost safety elements are put back into place so that we can believe that we can go on. And once this is taken care of and we have friendships and culture that feels safe again, then our self-esteem and confidence builds. You get the picture. Children cannot achieve the top tiers of self-actualization without establishing the foundational emotional safety levels first. This is critical. It's why your character development programs have not worked. It's why SEL doesn't work. It's why PBIS doesn't work. It's why all of the different things that we keep trying over and over in school have not worked, and we just keep going further into cultural upset on our campuses. So those, when you have that kind of upset, those are the root issues behind critical youth issues. So let's take a look at these. It's all the same players. They just intensify depending on the level of emotional safety. We got bullying, suicide, and homicide, addictions, and with our new fentanyl crisis, you'll see that suicide and homicide was the second and third leading cause of death among our youth. But addictions has risen to the #1 place from the fentanyl. It is a tragedy. So, our statistics are sliding a little bit in here. The identity crisis, toxic relationships, we kind of brush over this one pretty fast. But the emotional toll that's taken on young children who are starving for belonging and love and relationship and safety are entering into relationships that neither one of the children or of the youth have the cognitive ability to maturely, emotionally, and spiritually handle that level of intimacy. So when the fallout happens, we have children who are experiencing the equivalency of a divorce, 3, 4, 5 times before they ever graduate from high school. It is making our bonding to lifetime partners extremely difficult, which then hinders our nuclear family creation and the stability of the home. So this is a big, big deal on our school campuses. And then, of course, we have underachievement. You always have overachievers, but underachievement. And what I would like to tie this to, it's that our kids can be geniuses. They are. At the turn of the century, all of our inventors, they were teenagers, you guys. We have, and you can't just make somebody dream a dream and then go achieve it. It's something that rises up out of the emotional stability that we find in Maslow's law, so that their dreamer kicks in that upper level. So that's what we're after. To get all of these issues taken care of, we've got to go back and we have to address emotional safety, real emotional safety. The results of not being emotionally safe are catastrophic. As we mentioned, suicide and homicide are the second and third leading causes of death among children as young as 10 years old. In our community, we had a 5-year-old. It wasn't neglect, it was suicide. This little guy took his life. He was hopeless. Didn't understand it all. They are children with children's minds, but this is what's happening. 1 in 4 youth seriously contemplate suicide at some point in their lives. 1 in 4, 25%. 1 in 6 have a suicide plan. And I want to make these stats real for you. That would be, let's just say we have a class of 30 for easy math. 1 in 6 would be five kids, 4 or 5 kids in every single class that's sitting with a suicide plan in their back pocket or their notebook. You know, they've rehearsed it. They've got it. They're just waiting for the trigger that sets them in it. 5 kids in a class, every class, across every school, across every demographic. We have 5,000 youth per day attempting suicide. 5,000. That adds up to 2 million per year. That is astronomical. And we're not talking about these numbers. I mean, if we did, if one day we woke up and said 2 million of our kids chose to die over living, all of us should sit up and take notice, because we're talking about wartime deaths, pandemic deaths, that kind of a magnitude. And yet we don't even hardly talk about it. It's more than all of the students in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Hawaii combined every single year, opting to opt out rather than live. We have a hopelessness crisis. That is the pandemic. Suicide statistics have continued to increase as emotional safety decreases in our homes and our schools. So here's our problem. But thank goodness we have solutions. And these are solutions I've been working on for 40 years, before any of us ever even knew that we would be facing some of the issues of today. We were already discovering these amazing little elements to bring and create healthy campus culture. Now, when we started this, I couldn't find even a definition for campus culture. There were no classes, there were no courses, I couldn't find a book, and yet the stores were completely filled with manuals and books, all kinds of courses and things for developing healthy corporate culture. And why we would think that we wouldn't need it on our school campuses, which is far more complex than a corporation, except that corporations know that their business will thrive or die depending on how healthy their corporate culture is. Every person on that corporate, well, let me say that for just a minute, because this will make sense after I show you this one. Okay, so our schools have one of the most complex cultures of any segment of our society. So culture, think of it like this. Culture isn't something that you write a definition, you can't put it on a plaque on the wall. It's not just a matter of saying it. It is the lived experience of all of the people who are part of that particular group. It is all of their values, all of their belief systems. So think of it like a pot of stew. Everybody comes and brings their flavor, their bones, their their bouillon, their vegetables, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It all goes in there. And if we've got very, very toxic people in a culture, it all goes into the soup, and that's what we all taste of. So what we had in America when we founded as a country, we were a culture of immigrants. We all came together, other than, our native people who were here, but we came together and we had a common goal. And that common goal was a new life, the American dream. It was based on a lot of virtuous, um, literal dreams for our children, that they would have a better life, that they would be able to achieve the desires of their hearts, have land, have their own businesses, right? So the commonality held us together. Many of them were people of faith that came across. And even if they were or they were not, they came from cultures from around the world that had very strong Catholic biblical backgrounds, for the good or for the bad, because some of them were fleeing that. But there was a commonness of the 10 Commandments. So the 10 Commandments were a basic set of rules that said, we honor God, we don't kill as a people, we don't steal, we don't cheat, we don't lie. They were common values, and an entire nation was built on those. As our nation has changed, we have so many more different values and what seems right for one, and everyone writes their own rules, and we've removed the 10 Commandments, and we've removed many of the cultural things that make us the United States of America. So when you have a school, first of all, you have the students. Every single child on that campus helps to make the stone soup. They bring their behaviors, their attitudes, their dreams, their energy. Then we have their parents. Every single family contributes to that. And when we are a nation of many, many, many different nationalities, many, many different values and belief systems, all of those are coming into the pot of soup. And we start to lose some of our commonness and consistency. Every single teacher, every single staff, every janitor, every cook, every one of your administrators, you all have your own flavor, your own attitude, your own background, your own histories, and your own forward-thinking goals that you bring into the soup. Legislators, your schools don't stand alone. They are underneath the umbrella of the state education system, and they are underneath government education systems. And then, of course, we have community that involves everyone else, the businesses, the libraries, the churches, the community centers, and we all come together. And this is the very, 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 very complex culture of a school. So what do you do with that when everyone has their own beliefs, their own systems? People are offended all the time. One parent wants it one way, another parent wants it another way. You have a teacher who wants it this way and another one who wants it that way. You have kids who have no behavioral standards and other kids who are highly disciplined. You've got legislators and laws that oppose each other. They have different initiatives they're constantly bringing in. The emotional distress within our schools is unbearable. And administrators and teachers and parents, you've done an amazing job through all the transitions that have taken place. With that complexity, something happens. In antiquity, a culture used to be a community that came together, like we were talking about. If a crop failed, you made sure that your neighbor's children did not starve to death. If a barn burned down, everybody went and they raised a barn so that their animals could stay alive, and they helped them to get their herds built back up. We were a community that did life together. Often we attended churches together. Often we attended these small community churches where the kids were only as far away as their horses would bring them, right? And this is the way it was up until, World War 2-ish. And then with the expansion of everything and the immigration that has taken place and just the ability to move from state to state, all of a sudden we have communities of strangers. People don't know who their neighbors are. And what is it with grumpy neighbors? I don't know, but neighbors can be really grumpy. Everybody is protecting themselves. It is survival of the fittest. Campus culture forms a school survival code of rules. Okay, we've got a code of rules that peer pressure then polices. So peer pressure gets a lot of it gets a lot of rap, a lot of heat as being the culprit. It's not. Peer pressure is the result of the code of rules. They're just the police officers. They don't even hardly get a choice in it. They just enforce what the rules say. So that's why we've got to get past all these programs that work on the surface peer pressure, and we have to get down to the code of rules. And how do you do that? Because we are talking about developing culture, which comes internally. It's an internal development of that group of people. But if you change the campus culture, you will flip peer pressure from survival to peer power for achievement, which is very cool. So what we're going to teach you is how you take the very thing that is destroying and locking your school down to be the power center of change and transformation. So here's the key. Campus culture is not taught. You don't just teach it. Now, we can teach it. We will teach it. We are going to echo it. We are going to repeat it. We are going to put banners on the walls. We are going to put plaques. We are going to have mottos. We are going to have every one of the students in our school be able to repeat our mission and our core values, right? They're all going to be able to do it. But so I guess in what I'm saying is that campus culture is something that grows. It grows out of the environmental soil that administrators nurture, but it doesn't stop there. So all this great soil right here, all this great soil, you have all the greatest soil in the world. You're not going to change what's already established in the peer police. You can't do it. It has to come from the students themselves, but you can ringlead it. And that's important to remember. So to create campus culture, you must first dismantle it, redefine it, and reactivate the new peer pressure police. That is done by this. There are 7 essential elements that are required for every human being to operate correctly within their emotional packaging. So everyone's different, right? We have our own personalities, our own temperaments, but there are 7 essential elements that are required by all of us to be happy and healthy. Now, I'm going to show you all of these different elements that are here, but it's not this simple. So you're going to see the words and you're going to go, got it, got it, got it. I see it. Yep, that makes sense. The problem is that we can't just say it. We have to find the way that these things are internalized as part of the DNA of your school and of the students of your school. All right. So those things are vision, belonging, purpose, connection, leadership, tenacity, and heroism. Now, I have a video that's here. This gives you an overview.
Championeers is a revolutionary leadership program that provides children with character and leadership training through the performing arts. Leadership education for children is certainly not a new need. Parents, administrators, teachers, and even the federal government have long been calling for schools to do something about issues like bullying, self-esteem, cultural diversity, drug use, low assessment scores, and underutilization of post-secondary education. For decades, schools have had special campaigns to address these very issues, utilizing assemblies, student pledges, and classroom discussions. But it simply isn't enough against the ever-increasing obstacles that overburden administration, decrease optimization of learning, and distract our students from the simplicity of childhood. It's not a matter of inaction. It's a matter of not having the right tools to acquire sustainable change. Studies show that children only remember 10% of the words that are spoken to them. Even though the right messages are being broadcast, we don't see significant change because children don't have the right vehicle to internalize them. Our present strategies are not enough, but there are no alternatives. But what if there was an alternative? What if there was a way for children to retain, internalize, and put into action nearly 100% of the information that everyone is so desperately trying to give them? What if there was a program that could revolutionize a school campus, creating a culture of honor, turning bullies into leaders, inspiring kids to dream, and literally changing the course of students' lives? Well, this transformational program isn't a dream. It's called Championeers. Championeers is not just another character campaign. It's an entire leadership curriculum that kids flock to. Our innovative system engages classroom and school-wide challenges to inspire an entire campus to want to achieve. Campus culture is literally transformed by the energy and excitement generated through Championeers so that every child benefits. Through our revolutionary teaching techniques, kids retain nearly 100% of the information, 10 times more than traditional methods. But more importantly, Championeers provides a platform for them to incorporate these universal values of character and leadership into their lives. Kids have a blast. Teachers gain tools. Parents are happy, and administration sees results. Whether you're part of a PTA or a PTO, whether you're a teacher, an administrator, a counselor, or a parent, you can bring this life-changing program to your school. Give us a call today and get started on making your school a Championeers school.
We have a solution, and this works. We've seen it happen on campuses over and over and over again. One of the first things that we have to be able to do in order to see the transformation is we need the buy-in of your school. Now, some of you are teachers and you're going to be doing this independently. You found this and you want to try this in your classroom. Oh, I'm so excited for you. You are going to love this. And it's pretty simple. You get to make a whole entire micro culture within your class, and the kids are going to love it. And the other teachers, they're going to see you do this and they're going to think that it's so great. They're going to want to know what you're doing. And before long, you're going to have your principal on board doing it with everybody. But if you are a principal or an administrator, we got to do some things. Your teachers are tired. We have to turn the change resistance into ES evangelists. Now, it's different. It's done different for each group because each group on your campus has holds a different position within this transformation. So your teachers are some of your hardest. I will say that up front. They're skeptical. They're tired. They're overworked instead of the nurturing mama, educators that they want to be. What we suggest is Champ Camp. Now, we can do different varieties of this depending on the school, and every school is unique. Everyone has their own situation. You can do training for your whole entire school individually. These are master level classes that you can take for your PD credit, and you learn as you go. Some teachers are going to want to take it. The first part is an overview of the whole entire program. Your mind needs to know what we're doing, how we're going to do it, who we're going to do it with, how we're going to get there. It wants the whole entire plan. So we come in, we give you the camp, we give you the overview, but our favorite is if we can get on campus with you. And believe me, we can't get to every school. But the schools that we are able, that they choose that this is a good way to do it, we give you the same camp that you're going to give to the kids. So it's learning by example. And we just turn it into a lot of fun. You're going to love it as much as the kids. But even if you can't get us there in person, we're still going to turn it into camp. And we'll discuss how we do that on our discovery call. But the staff then is on board Their minds are clear. We've explained to them, we show them it's done for them. They are not expected to become the ESE expert and then teach that to their kids. That's a whole subject. Let us be the expert and you follow along. You'll learn it right along with your kids. Principals, you are the superhero. Now, I'm going to tell you, we have tried to do this as a full school program before where the principal gave the stamp and said, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, now go do it. We will never work with a school like that again. You guys, whether you're a man or woman, you are the mama or the daddy of that school. You just are. And everybody in that school needs you to lead them. They need to look towards you. Everybody needs a hero. So we make you into a hero. And we do it through the Principals Project. We give you all of these 15-minute hero projects that you can hand to your secretary, who can put them together and bring in instant, spontaneous fun and bonding and development of your entire school. Yep, we bring a little bit of chaos and the kids go crazy over it. But it's the kind of chaos that you dial right back, and they've had so much fun that you bring them right back in, and they are actually, the studies have shown that the level of enthusiasm and energy that you learn something in is the level of retention that you will keep. So we are all about shaking things up. You're going to let them know that there's a new sheriff in town and it's you, and you're leading the way for this school transformation. And the kids are like Pied Pipers. They love it. They love you. They get behind that. And every one of those kids needs that hero. Now, music teachers, you are in a very cool position. Now, I owned one of the largest music conservatories outside of the Seattle area. So I like quarter notes. I like rhythm. I like Kadai. I like all the different, teaching all of the different elements of music and watching it come together and then watching these skills build. I do. I love it. But music teachers, don't miss the most powerful tool that we have on our school campuses to save kids' lives. Those who understand music know what I'm talking about. Getting kids on instruments, starting the orchestra saves kids' lives. But there's a reason. There's belonging. There's connection. There's a purpose. Karen, all the 7 things, they're all in there. And we have a mini-cosm of it. But what about all the kids who are not doing those things? I want to encourage you to take some of the time that you have, in your class development. I know you don't have a lot of time. I know you don't. But it doesn't take too much time. It's one lesson for every class that you teach, especially in the elementary school. You're going to teach one lesson. It's one prep for all 20 of your classes, however many you have, 40 classes. I mean, some of your elementary schools are 1,000 kids. My daughter taught in a school with almost 1,000 kids, and the music teacher has them all. So you're the star. You're the Pied Piper. You're the only one of the only ones. It's a certified support staff teacher that has these kids from the day they walk in school to the day they go through all the grades until they graduate out the other side. You've got something special. And music is the greatest tool that we can use to emulsify and build the neural connections between the left and the right side of the brain. So we talk all about it. Hopefully I can convince you to give up a little bit of your time. And it's not giving it up for teaching these programs, because I always just incorporated all the rhythm instruments, all the different things that we were doing, all of your different instruments. You can bring them out and you can teach the kids play right along with the songs. You just have a different group that's doing it. So don't despair that it's going to take away for your time. It's actually going to enhance the time and change the school. You're the ringleader across all the grades, across multiple years, across all of the neural tools. You are the superstar, not just a star. Now, classroom teachers, if you're doing this on your own, you assume the role of that the principal has of the hero, the star role of the music teacher, and all the roles, but this role as well as the reinforcers. This is the beauty of the click classes. You don't have to know it to teach it. You just follow along with the kids. And if the music teacher is teaching the bulk of what this program is, your job is to reinforce the rules, reinforce the concepts and the STEM, so that as the children are learning all of these new tools, it becomes the new common platform. The STEM roles become the new 10 commandments of your school. And they include like what to do if we're having an anger management issue. I'm going to tell you a simple one. It is so fast and so easy, but because it's connected to all the stories and all the things that are in the Championeers, it makes a lot of sense when you get to this tool. We've taught all the kids to say 3, 2, 1, rats on the run. Now, that's a song. It's one of the songs that they do. 3, 2, 1 stops them from responding instantly. Rats on the run reminds them that they have the power to chase away these irritants. So it all goes with a lesson that's, again, for anger management. And it's stop, think, act. So easy. And every child, when they learn this, they are able to remind each other. Teachers, you are able to use this in your classroom. The way that the schemas work, the way that neuroplasticity works, is that the theme, and we have like 5 different themes. Each unit has a theme. So if we're using Pete and the Pirates and we're learning these different concepts, then every place that you incorporate a pirate brings those kids back to the happy energy of what they learned on these initial lessons, and it pulls them into math. It pulls it into history. It pulls it into whatever you tie those pirates to. It's the connective energy, and why this is such a successful program, because we can incorporate it literally into all the DNA of your education systems. All right, then we have students. Yeah, the students are the builders. They are the ones themselves that must build the culture. So we design it, we lay it out for them, we put all the building blocks in place for them, we give them all of the tools, and then we teach them how to use the tools. But they're the ones who must pick up the tools and the building blocks and build it, because they are the peer pressure police, right? So they have to get those rules, those codes, so deep down inside of them that the peer pressure, the survival instincts come out built on top of them. Let's see. Here's an example. So the reason why character development programs, many of them have failed, is because they'll have the character word of the week. That's great. It's a sign. We talk about it. Kids can spell the word respect frontwards and backwards, and then go out and be the biggest bullies on the school campus you ever saw. And yet they know intellectually all the definitions. They know the difference between right and wrong. But it's not going beyond the intelligent side of their brain into the emotion centers. 80% of our decisions are made through the emotion center. And if we can't get the neural pathways connected from the information into the emotions, then we've got kids punching kids on the playground. So it's very, very, very important that we have our builders actually building the culture for the buy-in. They're the ones who flip the peer pressure into the peer empowerment. And we've seen this over and over again. Kids who are melting down, the kids next to them, their friends in class, will say, they'll whisper to them, remember, stop, think, and then act. Or 3, 2, 1, rats on the run. It's very powerful when your children themselves are mentoring each other with the rules that they need. This is what culture is. Peer pressure is one of our number 1 tools for keeping society safe and playing by the rules. Peer mentors, then, that's what our little guys become. Automatically, they get their leadership roles. Now, counselors, you have a very, very, very specific role. You are the guides. Now, I know that in different schools, there's a lot of, there's a new emphasis on mental health. Our counselors, you are getting slammed with so many issues and heartbreaking. I mean, everything has just become exponentially yucky, hasn't it? And the things that our kids are going through and transitioning through and processing through, and culture is changing. We can't keep up. We are in emotional distress to the youngest of children. So here is what I encourage our counselors to do. Counselors are either the greatest advocates who see these tools and go, yes, I've got a Calvary, an entire school Calvary that's coming up behind me. Or they have been the most destructive elements in the programs because they're not understanding the power of the neuroplasticity. They want to do their own thing. They've got their own agenda, their own stuff. So principals, counselors, you're going to have to talk together. We don't want to work with a school that we don't have you guys on the same page. Now, counselors, as the guides, I want to tell you some of the things that will happen. We are not professional counselors in mental health, and neither are your teachers, and neither are all the little kiddos. You're the expert that's in this field. But when we give everybody their common tools to use, they have just distributed your workload. All these little guys don't have to be sitting in your office with you giving them to them one-on-one. Can you imagine if you had an entire school who understood the rules and they were living by them, and if somebody forgot them, they're gently reminding them. So you're guiding the school. In fact, you can incorporate the STEM lessons through, your roving counselors. There's different ways that we can distribute it, whether it goes through the homeschool, the homeroom teacher, the music teacher, or the counselors. That's for you to decide. But these powerful tools, what they will often do is that you have so many students in your school. Remember, 5 in every classroom. And these are little older grades. It's the youth, but depending on which age we're talking about here, up to 4 or 5 kids who have suicidal tendencies in every single classroom. You can't identify them all. They are not just your typical kids that you would think would be the fringe kids that are wrestling with this. These can be come from the most successful families. Kids are kids are kids. So when we're doing all these tools, they highlight areas of owies that our children may be wrestling with, and it gives them a tool to deal with them. Often when that little tool starts to implement, it helps the children to realize that there are next steps that they can take with the counselors. Now, that was a lot of words to give you this testimony. My son-in-law, when he was 5, 6 years old, was being molested by a boyfriend of his mother, and nobody knew that the children were being molested. He was one of these precious little children that are sitting in your classrooms that nobody knows what's going on in their lives. You have no way of identifying these perfect little children, and they have really no tools, many of them, to be able to express it to you. When we address life skills and tools and we start handing these things to the children, they get an anchor, a nugget to hold on to. And what that often does is that helps them to be able to come to the counselors for additional help. Does that make sense? And at that point, then you can guide these guys. You can be the safe harbor, and we're pointing the kids to you. You are the equiper with the additional tools. You give the life maps for the whole school to follow by because you are the expert that's in these tools, and you just reinforce them. And as the kids come to you, then you expand on them for them. So I hope that helps. It's not falling all on you. The mental health crisis in our schools is so great that there is no one counselor that can handle them all or identify them all anymore. So you're going to guide the school through the mental health and safety. Now, parents, they're key, right? We can work with the kids all day long and then we send them back into chaos. Parents are either going to be for you or against you. So we suggest that you make them partners with you. They are the key. And the way we do this is that we take the actual lesson in STEM that the kids go over every single week and they learn in class. We photocopy it. It's worth the few bucks that you're going to put into photocopy paper. And we send that home with a leadership assignment from the children. Their job is to go home and show their mom and dad the STEM and tie it to the teachable tool that they can use in their home if they choose to. And in all of our correspondence with the parents and schools, this is another one of our, this is, it must be done. We have had schools implement this program and not communicate to their families whatsoever about this awesome program that's going on at school. So when the children start coming home with questions and with these tools and all of these great discoveries that they're making, the parents immediately jump into that the school is taking their position and you're not. In fact, our whole entire premise is that the parents are the primary educators of their children, and we're partnering with them, and we're finding common tools that we can both use, but they hold the steering wheel in their hands. They are in the driver's seat. As these tools are explained to their children, they bring them into their own family values and belief systems. And that's how we deal with parents. And that will turn parents who would come against you into your greatest advocates, because it's all on them. They get to explain it any way that they want to. The bottom line for us is the tool, and that's the commonality we're after. So you give them empowerment and inclusion within the process. All right, community, and not to be as last but not least is the community aspect, because when you do these giant community-wide, school-wide productions, everybody comes. And we have some very specific tools on how you integrate all those other groups that are within your community so that it's truly not just one school that's doing something special, but an entire community transformation. Also, as those groups get on board, you're going to have such faithful supporters. They will enable you. Your businesses will cut checks to help support the programs that you're doing for your children, because they are so impressed with these programs that they are coming to and seeing. You expand your vision, you expand your sponsorship, and you expand your leadership. So that is how we create buy-in across your entire community, each one holding a very unique and wonderful and powerful piece of the puzzle. And it's simple implementation. It really is. So now what do? It's go time. So the program is that easy to get going. So step one, you're going to schedule your discovery call. We want to help you determine if this is right for you. I already gave you some of the parameters of what we need, of what we have found that's been the most helpful. And we don't want to waste your time or our time. So we want to make sure that we are both connected and going in the right direction. And then we're going to be there every step of the way. We don't sell you a program and then bail out. We're selling you a program. We're coaching you in it. We're consulting you in it. We're helping you with the trouble spots. We're making sure everybody is getting trained. And to do that, we have a grant for you. It's these numbers are very conservative numbers, depending on the size of your school and what you implement. But it's up to $10,000 per year per school in training and resources for your staff to bring this to your campus. Now, if you're a large school, those numbers jump to about $50,000 a year, because we provide free training for every unit, for every person, every staff member, whether they're certified or support staff, on your campus. So it is a fabulous grant. And here's the other thing that's cool about it. You don't have to beg for it. This is not limited. You're already pre-approved for it. We just have to make sure it's the right fit. We have parameters that we need you to stay in order to be a recipient of it, to make sure that you succeed. That's the whole bottom line. But instead of 20 pages of a grant application, it's literally name, school, just a few basics. And then as we go, we fill in the blanks for the information that we need to make sure that we have the right programs in the grant for you. So the application includes presentation materials for decision makers and your personal ESE coach who walks you through the rest of the process. So from this point on, you get me or someone who is just like me, who is going to coach you through the whole entire thing. Now, step number 3, this is where we order our materials. So you're approved. you want to do the program, and then we get to jump into these great materials. Now, I want to point out to you that we did all of these programs with kids. These were not professional artists that we hired. These were our teenagers. These were our middle school and high school kids that were part of the program, that grew up and they maintained leadership roles going into it. They developed their skills, they developed their art, and they helped to bring these kids. Why? Because they had a greater purpose, they had belonging, they had connection, and their goal was to get this to the children of our nation and to stop the suicide epidemic, because many of them lost their own friends. I don't think there's a single person in our organization that has not lost someone that they've loved dearly to suicide. Now, we are going to stop this and eradicate it at its roots. Now, some people need to have all of the materials written, and you can see they're just step-by-step, easy synopsis of their click classes. And I call them click classes because they are on Prezis, and all you do is click your way through them, including all the videos, the dances, the songs. Easy peasy. And of course, we have the student packs, and we highly encourage these. What the kids will do to get these stickers and their dog tags and their different bracelets and mantra bracelets is phenomenal. Now, we can do it digitally. We'll help you to be able to do it digitally. We've got some little options that are in there, but the kids keep these magazines for the rest of their lives. And we want them to, because in the way that schemas work, every time they see these, it will remind them any of the aspects of this unit, will remind them of the lessons that they learned in third grade. Step 4, training. And this is where we'll talk to you, decide the best way to train up your school, whether it's independently. If you're a teacher doing this all by yourself, you would then be independent, or a parent, or independently with all of your teachers, or if you're going to have staff meetings, or if you want us to come out and do a champ camp. It's that is the quickest and fastest way for a school transformation, but however you need to do it, we get you set up for it. And then we start our pre-launch palooza, kind of like Disneyland. You wait in line for 2 hours, building anticipation for your 2.5-minute ride. This is what's next. We're going to build that anticipation and elevate the hype. We're going to engage your student leaders, admin staff, and PTA, and we are going to shake it all up to wake it all up for go time. And go time over here is, that's it. And then you start in on your, each week is a new lesson within the unit, and it's only for 12 weeks. We go 14, 15 so that you can get the production together, but it's a short period of time. And so what we want to do, let me back up here really fast. So to sustain, you have to build and grow. Anything that's not building and growing will atrophy and fall apart. So think of it this way: you do the programs, and then you stop doing the programs, and then you have your new little kindergartners who come in who don't get the programs, and then they become first, second, third graders, and they still haven't got it. Half the school does, half the school doesn't. All of a sudden, you're back into the mixed, very complex, cultural soup, because we're not building the common pieces for your children to come into. Now, you can keep the gains if you keep things rolling in their momentum. You take out the commonalities and you will lose your gains. The bigger the shakeup, the bigger the wake up. To break the neural cycles and dismantle the old campus culture code, you must go big and bold. Go strong. Build the momentum. Build it on your gains from unit to unit to unit. Each one tackles more and more life skills and life tools. Get the huge community production to build that momentum. Get the neighbors and the mamas and the daddies and the business owners and all the teachers excited about what you're doing. All right, and then go deep. Incorporate the ESD add-on programs. We've got programs for your PTA to make the entire program self-funded. We've got additional programs for your student leaders and your parent and community training, and then integrate the stickiness factor into your core subjects so that you are bringing the new DNA throughout every aspect of your school. That doesn't mean you're changing your curriculum. What it means is that you're pulling the stickiness factor and attaching to it. So we're very, very excited about what you can accomplish on your school. So the only thing left to do is sign up. So we want you to schedule your discovery call. Contact us here or here or here. And at least, I mean, a discovery call is not a yes, it's a maybe. It means you want information. And we want to give you as much information as possible to make the best decision that you possibly can. So that's why we like to visit with you. Or there are additional webinars that will give you some more information until you're ready to talk. And then by that time, I won't have any questions to answer for you except to sign you up and get you going with your coach. All right. Well, thank you for listening. Be sure and give me a call or drop me a line if you have any questions whatsoever. Let's start the emotional safety journey on your school campus right now.